Welcome back to LarryB YouTube channel. In today's class, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful princess dart dress with yoke. It's an armhole princess dart bustier and it has a yoke on the neckline area of the dress. It's a very simple tutorial and it's really beautiful as we have seen. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so this is my fabric. I'm cutting directly on the fabric, so I folded my fabric into two. I'm using the lining to cut so that I can cut later on my main fabric because I'm going to be mixing fabrics. So what I'm going to do now is to take my shoulder measurement. The shoulder is 16, so divided by 2 is 8, so I have 8 inches here. I'll take the same 8 inches on this point as well, which is my armhole line, and then I'm going to make it into a straight line. The neck width that I'm working with is 3 inches. Here I'm going to come down by 1 inch from my shoulder slope, and then I'm going to connect this together. And the neck depth I'm going to work with for the front is going to be 3 inches as well, 3.5 inches, and then I'm going to connect just like this again. Okay, so now these lines that you see here, this is my armhole line, my bust points, my under bust, and my waistline. I've made them into straight lines, as you can see. Here I'm going to take my bust span measurement. The bust span is 8, that's the distance between one bust to the other. So divided by 2 is going to give me 4. Because I'm cutting directly on my fabric, I'm going to add the same allowance that I sew with. So if you sew with 1/2 inch, you had that. If you sew with 1/4, you had that. So here I'm adding 1/2 inch. So here I'm going to mark 4.5 inches on my bust point. On my under bust, I'm going to subtract 1/2 inch from that, and then I'm going to mark 4 inches, and then mark the same 4 inches on my waistline as well. So I am going to connect all these lines together just like this. So it's an armhole princess dart. The next thing is to go over to our armhole area and then mark the midpoint of our armhole. Okay, here is the midpoint of my armhole. Here you can come in by 1/2 inch. Remember, you do that when you want to mark your armhole. So after coming in by 1/2 inch here, you're going to connect that to the tip of your shoulder just like this, and then with my curved ruler I'm going to connect from here to that point. So I'll just try to get a very nice curve, and then I'll make sure that it is blending with what I have coming. You don't want anything sharp at that point. Okay, so you can see what I have. So the next now is to take my actual dart, my bustier dart. This is an average size, so I'm marking 2 inches dart on the under bust. I'm marking the same 2 inches on the waist, and then I'm going to connect like this again. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to come down here by like 1/2 inch, and then with my curved ruler I'm going to find a really nice curve and then connect all of that together. Okay, so you can see what I have. So after connecting that, I'll go over to the armhole and take my armhole dart. So on this armhole point here, I'm going to take a dart of 1.5 inches. You can take 2 inches as well. So there I'm going to connect from there again to what I have coming here. But when you're connecting, kindly make sure that everything you just have to match with each other. I don't want any point to be sharp. Okay, so I'm making sure of that, and once I'm sure of that, I'll go ahead and just make my markings. So if you notice, you can see that I extended this beyond my armhole because this 1.5 inches that I took, I just want to replace it back. You can still trim it off when you are done sewing and you feel it is in excess. So now to complete my armhole, I'm going to mark my bust point. My bust measurement, the bust I'm working with is 40 divided by 4 is 10. So here I have 5 inches. So I'm just going to remove the small dart that I have here, and then I'm going to continue my measurement. So 10 inches stops here. I'm going to add my seam allowance to that, and now I can easily connect my armhole curve. Okay, just like that. So you can see now that the armhole is complete. And then on the waistline, I'm going to go over to my waist. The waist is 36 divided by 4 is 9. Divided by 4 is 9, yes. So I have 4 inches here. I'm going to skip the dart because that is going off, and then I'm going to mark my 9 inches. So here I'm going to add my seam allowance as well, and then I'm going to connect like this for my side seam. So remember I said this has a yoke. I hope we're able to capture that. So remember I said this has a yoke. So this upper part now is where I'm going to decide how deep I want the yoke to be. So here, this I'm trying to mark how low I want my yoke to be, and I think around 7 to 7.5 inches is fine for me. I don't want it too low, or 8 inches, but I'll just leave it at 7.5 inches. And then on that point I'm going to connect from where my yoke is going to stop to where my princess dart line stops, which is here. So form like a sweetheart neckline. Okay, and I'm connecting like that. So this upper part now is going to be my yoke. And that is all you need to do. So to cut it now, I'm cutting the side first, and then I'm going to cut off my armhole, and after that I'll cut the side, the first side of my dart. Okay, so this side is done. So the next thing now is to cut out my yoke. You can also use pattern for this. I ran out of pattern paper, so that's why I'm doing this. So when I'm cutting this yoke, I'll just add a little allowance here, and then also on the shoulder area. And then I'm going to cut my neckline. So this is my yoke. You can see this is what the yoke looks like. And then for the other part of my main bodies, I'm going to cut the other dart as well. And my pattern pieces are complete, so please make sure you cut well. You don't want to have any sharp edge. So this is the center front. These are the two side pieces. Okay, these are the two side pieces, and this is the yoke. So I'll just go over now and cut them out on my fabric, and then I'll bring it back for us to see what it looks like. So I've gone ahead to cut them on my fabric. This is the inner side. So I applied hairstay because the inner fabric that I'm using is not so strong. So I applied hairstay on it before I cut out my wording to pad like this. So this is what it looks like on the wrong side, and this is the right side. I'm using this plain crepe fabric for the center front, and then I'm using this net fabric. Okay, I lined it with my doll face that I used to cut the pattern, and that's what I'm using for the sides. So I have cut out the yoke as well. I'm using the same net for the yoke, but without the lining. So I'll take it to the sewing machine now to sew. So I'm going to sew the dart lines first, then after sewing the dart, I'm going to sew the yoke, and then I'll turn it with my lining. I have also cut lining for them. It's cut exact same way I cut out my pattern. So I'll sew this first now. the sewing machine now, and then I'm going to start to join them with my half-inch seam allowance. I'll continue to sew with my half-inch seam allowance. When you get to the under bust, you pause a bit and then you lift this, and that is what you are going to use to control its ends first. So you sew this slowly, you don't need to rush, you sew as slowly as possible, and then you maintain the seam allowance that you are sewing with. So after sewing now, I'll go over to the under bust and notch a bit for it to relax, and this is what I have. You can see how beautiful this is looking. So you grab the other side as well, and then you sew. So you're going to match the under bust together, place it under your sewing machine, and then you start to sew. So just like we did for the first side, you sew to the under bust first, and then you pick the upper one, and that is what you are going to use as a guide to sew the cup area. So this part again, you are going to sew slowly, you don't need to rush, and then you follow the seam allowance that you have been using to sew from the waist. So you can see that the extra 1.5 inches that we had kept, because it is exactly the same thing on the armhole area. So now this is what the two side looks like now. So what I'm going to do now is to bring in my yoke, and then I'm going to sew the yoke to the neckline as well. Okay, so I have sewn it. As you can see, this is what it looks like on the inside. So we'll go ahead now and open our stitches and iron flat as possible. So I also inserted my yoke, just like I explained. I sewed the yoke first, and then I turned it with this lining so that it can be clean, just like this. So you make sure you iron everything out, and this is what the half length looks like. So for the skirt part, I'm sewing a 6 pieces. I just uploaded a detailed video on how you can cut a 6 pieces skirt and sew. So you may check that out if you don't know how to do it. But just like I did for the half length, the two sides of the pieces is going to be the net as well, and then the center piece is just going to be the plain crepe fabric. So these are the 3 pieces that I have for the front. I have already sewn the one for the back. So I'll go ahead now and sew these 3 pieces together so that I can join them to my half length. So let me just show us the back. This is what the back looks like. I have sewn my pieces together, and then I fixed a zipper at the center back. So this is the half length. It also has this net as a yoke, and you can see that the center piece is also plain while the two sides are with the net. So I'll go ahead and sew this now and bring it back to show us. So I've gone ahead to sew the skirt to the half length. You can see, so this is the waistline. You make sure that when there's an alignment between the center part of the waist and the skirt, because remember it has a plain pattern at the center front, so you want them to align very well. By the time I flip it to the right side, you will see it better. So what I did again was just to sew my shoulder together. This is the shoulder seam, and then I used my bias to turn the neckline neatly. So this is the neckline now. So now I have laid the front and back on each other, and I pinned it. So now I'm going to measure to shape my side, then I'm going to shape the side seam. So after shaping the side seam, I'll go ahead and fix a basic sleeve to the armhole area, and then I'll take it to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the mannequin. The basic sleeve is fixed now, and I have shaped the side. So this is what the full view of the dress looks like. You can see that the center point where your straight lines, it has to match. Okay, that half length and the center front of the skirt part has to match. You don't want to see any difference between them because it's different from what you have on the side. And you can see the yoke that will attach to the princess line with the princess dart as well, and this is the dart line of the princess seam that we created. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.